Hi everybody, it's Martin at Flicking Feathers again today, and I'm back with another vlog. So far the response has been quite positive, so I'll keep doing them. I hope you continue to be interested in the things that I have to say. So the first thing I'd like to do in this episode is thank my first Patreon patron, Joseph Andrezic. As he was the first person to sign up, I'm going to send him some flies. When I get back from my trip, I'll tie up some flies and send them to him. The general idea was that when I hit 50 patrons, I would tie a box of flies and give them away, but as he's the first person, I thought I'd also give him one. So the first thing I'm going to do is address a question that I had from Joe Duca. Joe's a regular viewer and commenter on my fly tying videos and things, and he just said that he would like to know a bit more about me. So I mean, I don't have much of a story really, I suppose, or I don't think I do, because I'm just not that good at marketing myself, I suppose. But yeah, I grew up obviously in Scotland. I'm from the west of Scotland, you can probably hear that in my accent. And I've been fishing like forever. I don't know what age I was when I got my first rod, but it was really young. And then I started fly fishing maybe when I was 10 or something like that. I got into sort of fishing competitively because I knew some people who also competed, and there's actually quite a big competitive fishing culture in Scotland. It's well, all the clubs and everything have like leagues and stuff. And I ended up fishing twice for Scotland, in the national team, the youth national team, once in Ireland and once in Wales, and I was actually the British youth champion in 2001, Llyn in Wales. Since I was about 20 though, I just stopped fishing competitively. I get sort of turned off. It was becoming a bit job-like rather than going out and enjoying myself. And really, I mean, I'll have a bit of kind of banter with my friends when we're fishing, if one is catching more fish or whatever, but like, I really don't care about other people's fishing and fishing experience. Like, it has no bearing on me as an angler, but I'm always happy to learn and share information. So that's kind of where I am now, and I've just continued with that. I lived in Germany and Austria for a while, fished there, pike mostly, catfish, and since coming to Japan, obviously I don't fish for trout so much anymore, although there are nice trout in the rivers and stuff. I really like fly fishing for carp. It's really challenging, it's interesting, it's sight fishing. We've also got snakehead, smallmouth bass, largemouth bass on the vicinity, barbel as well. So there's a lot of really good targets around Tokyo that interest me, possibly more than trout, although recently I find myself thinking I might go back to it a little bit, Yamame and stuff. But there's also a good saltwater fishery. You know, you've got the sea bass, which I'm sort of ambivalent about the sea bass. They don't fight that hard, but we do have the offshore fishery in the summer here near Tokyo, mahi-mahi, skipjack tuna, yellowfin, kingfish, that kind of things. And then obviously in Japan you've got the islands. You can go to Okinawa. I like going down there in the summer, once or twice a year, targeting various flat species, and that's basically sort of all there is to tell really, I suppose. Some of you have commented that I was tying a lot of bonefish flies before this, and there'll be another couple of bonefish fly videos going up soon as well. That's because I'm heading on a trip the day after tomorrow. I'm going to the Maldives, So hopefully I'll be able to do a bit of filming there as well. Maybe put a short trip video together, and I might be able to do some trip prep videos before I go as well. Which kind of brings me nicely to there was a lot of people, not so much on YouTube but on other social media, asking like where I get the patterns for my bonefish flies, you know, and if I'm tying standard patterns. Well, it's a mix of one of my favourite sources for bonefish flies is this book, right? It's Dick Brown's Bonefish Fly Patterns. There will be a link in the description below. It's a really good book, especially if you're a beginner to bonefishing or you're new to tying bonefish flies. It has a big pattern list that will cover you for a lot of places. Some of the flies are a bit, they look a bit dated now, and some of them are a bit convoluted. Like, I just don't see myself ever tying some of them, but there's a lot of really good flies in there. But it's also got good sections for like the less experienced tyer or angler of like how to select bonefish flies for different locations, different wind conditions, different water depths. It's good in that way. The other thing is the internet. I mean, the internet's full of bonefish fly patterns. YouTube, there's loads of websites. Thoroughly recommend just getting on Google. Now, the other thing is, obviously you don't need to tie. This is a thing that kind of crops up again and again. Like, you don't need to tie a pattern that's been published in a magazine or like some guy in the media, right? Often, like, you can come up with a better fly yourself. There's two flies. Like, when it comes to bonefish and saltwater stuff, there's two flies that I've kind of tied that have been quite popular videos, and have been really successful. One of them is the hooligan crab. Right, I think it's my third most popular video at the moment. Basically, I took elements of different crab patterns, stuck them together, changed the hook. Over time, I've like adjusted it to get where I wanted, and it's just deadly. Permit eat it, triggerfish eat it, bonefish eat it, trevally eat it. You know, anything that eats a crab will eat this fly. And what I did, I wasn't happy. You know, the kung fu crab was a crab that I was using a little bit off, and felt with those claws it was a bit big, but I liked how the legs were all fixed at the head. But I didn't like that they were under the body. Also liked the face from the gangster crab. Give you something sticking out, a suggestion. One claw, not two. I streamlined it, I shrunk the crab to fit the fishing that I wanted to do. Right, and that's what you need to, that's how you design a fly. Right, what's the shape you want, what's the sink rate, what do you want it to do, and then you put the bits together, you test it, you tweak it, you test it, you tweak it, and eventually you settle on something that you're happy with and works well. And the success of that crab for myself and other anglers is testament to that. Another fly that I've come up with is the Other. It's a bonefish fly. It's maybe a video I made years ago, and I don't think it's as heavily viewed. But again, I just adjusted it. I was looking for a low flash, soft landing pattern, lightly weighted, still had lots of movement, while being relatively sparse, and I just developed that pattern as well. I'd recommend you check out the video if you're into bone fishing, because it's a very effective fly. So this other book that I was going to recommend this week, this month, sorry. In the last couple of videos I've spoke about wet fly books. and I'm going to continue with this. This year I'm going to probably get a new lens for the camera so that I can film wet flies a bit better, smaller stuff. And you'll be seeing some flies from this book. This is Blue Stiniog, trout flies from North Wales. It's by Emrys Evans, who's passed away now. But it's a really nice collection of flies from that area. Possibly a sort of less a sort of less famous area internationally, I would suppose. Like the Irish and Scottish wet flies tend to get the bulk of the attention, if you like. But it's a good book, some real history. There's some nice flies, and what I do like about the book especially is the for people who, let's say, find it difficult to tie winged wets and things, the example flies are clearly just been knocked up by some guy that goes fishing. He's not a display fly tyer, so it gives you like a kind of an achievable model to look at, rather than this fly that you think, oh, that's too hard. So it sort of encourages you, I think, if you're less able to tie those, like the match slip wings and things like this. I know that a lot of people get put off by them, but actually they don't. If it's a fishing fly, they don't need to be perfect. I mean, an example, I used to tie flies for an old guy when I lived in Scotland, and it was always winged wets and stuff I was tying. He fished almost exclusively with traditional wet flies, and I would sometimes fish with him, and every time he took a new fly out of the box, he would take another hook and just shred the wing, right, that I had nicely matched and set, just because it moved better. And I told him I could just roll a wing, and he says no, and he always told me no, he liked them tied in nice, but when he fished them, he took them to bits. So you don't need to be too fussy really if it's just a fishing fly, and this book gives you a nice model for that. And there will be a link to that in the description below on Amazon. I'd love it if you could use that link if you were going to buy the book. Now the online recommendation that I've got in this video, it's two things. I'm going to recommend two separate things. First is a Slovakian guy's YouTube channel. It's Bretislav Kaspar. I'll put a link to his channel in the description as well. I think it's, I mean, I know that European style nymphing, as the Americans call it, is becoming more popular across the Atlantic, and it's a good source for flies for that and different things. Also, there's a lot of sort of different stuff, and I think like it's good to move away from your own domestic media a lot of the time. I mean, not just for fishing stuff, but in general. And you know, it sort of gives you a slightly different insight, and you can see different ways of doing things and stuff, and it's quite an interesting channel. Just getting away from what you know. The other thing is there's a podcast I've been listening to recently. It's the Reno Fly Shop podcast. It's obviously tailored to, or mostly tailored to people fishing in that area, but there's some nice interviews and stuff on it. It's quite interesting. The last one I listened to was the Ken Morris podcast, and it was quite interesting hearing him talk about how he approaches fly design and things, and how he approaches fishing in general with a camera. And I suppose I thought about that when I picked Kaspar's channel for recommendation, because he also talks about like how his steelhead fishing's been changed by exposure to like Scandinavian style fly tying and things. It's an interesting listen, and I mean obviously I don't live anywhere near Reno, I live in Tokyo, and I think it's of value just, you know, while you're driving, while you're on the train, commuting, whatever, have a listen, see what you think. Alright guys, as always, thanks for watching. I hope that was interesting and I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love to hear what you think about things, especially any requests for stuff you'd like to be covered or looked at in the future. Tight lines guys, bye!